Welcome everybody. This is the NMEAC, the Northern Michigan Environmental Action Council. This is our 29th annual Environmentalist of the Year Awards event. The event began, thank you. The event began in 1988. NMEAC was founded in 1980, and in 1988, they started the Environmentalist of the Year Awards. And at that time, there was just one award recipient. And then over the years, particularly during the years when Ken Smith was on the board, we expanded the Environmentalist of the Year to a very wide range of different categories, which we have tonight. Our mission is preserving the natural environment through citizen action and education. Founded in 1980 on the old Mission Peninsula. Before we get too far into the program, I wanted to pay tribute to a board member that passed away last week. Bob Marshall joined the NMEAC board in the 1990s and served until 2010. Even after he retired from the board, he continued to attend NMEAC meetings. He was one of our most active board members and was involved in numerous environmental issues, many times focused on his beloved Leelanau County. Last week, he passed away at the age of 89. He was a huge supporter of Environmentalist of the Year Awards and devoted extensive time to researching and supporting issues of global warming, climate change, the environment, and peace and justice issues. Please join me in a moment of silence for Bob. Thank you, and I want to say that we couldn't do this program without our underwriters. And there's a page in the program devoted to just all of our underwriters. So I just wanted to read their names. Angela Mackey, Ann Rogers, B.A. and Linda O'Shea, Bay Area Recycling for Charities, Andy Gale and Jordan Byron, Bob Garvey, Jeremy Brother James Reisig, Carpet Galleria, Bob Karstens, Charles and Susan Crawford, Chris Treater, David Sutton, Emmy Lucholak, Esh Rhodes, Food for Thought Incorporated, thanks Timothy and Kathy, Freshwater Events, Grant Parsons Law Firm, Groundwork Center, thanks to Hans Voss, the Harrington Fitch Family Foundation, Higher Grounds Trading, Horizon Books, James and Christina McGinnis, John Nelson and Lynn Moon, June Thaden, Ken and Kay Smith, Light of Day Organics, Malin Hartwell. I'd like Malin to stand if you're out there, Malin. She's our event coordinator, and we couldn't do this program without Malin. Mark Lindsay provided the wonderful photograph on the cover of our program. He's an area photographer that donates a lot of his work to area nonprofits. Mary Van Valen, Oriana Food Cooperative, Paul and Amanda Brink, Rebecca May Norris, Bob Garvey, Royce Ragland and Ken Bloom, Sally Somsel, Shorts Brewing Company, special thanks to Tyler Glaze, Soren Teichman, Skip Pross and Bridget Hart, Ted and Marcia Curran, The Candle Factory, The Filling Station Microbrewery, Todd Klepper, Utopian Empire Creative Works, and William and Susan Whedon. These were our underwriters. They're just fantastic people. We love you guys. So just a little bit about NMEAC. Some of the main things that we're doing, I couldn't possibly, it'd take me a couple hours to tell you about all the things that we're doing, but over the last 3 years, we've been involved with a number of environmental groups throughout the state in the Line 5 oil pipeline at the Straits. And we are working with 25 other organizations in the Oil and Water Don't Mix campaign. We're gearing up for the June 12th pipeline advisory meeting at the Petoskey Middle School. And we're looking forward to the alternatives and risks reports that are coming out in June, at the end of June. And we're trying to mobilize public comment on these reports. So look forward to that. It's coming up in June. We're also part of another, again, we're working with other organizations in a group called TC100. NMEAC, again, working with numerous organizations to support a 100% clean energy goal passed by the City Commission last November here in Traverse City. We will also be advocating for a 100% clean energy goal for Traverse City Light and Power. And one other thing that's kind of roared its ugly head in recent months, and particularly in the last few years, sprawl is making a big comeback. And NMEAC supports the efforts of the group Preserve Old Mission to oppose the ill-conceived 81 on East Bay development, which would level steep ridges and cut hundreds of trees along the shoreline of East Bay. One of the other things we're doing is I have to say this, we were the underwriters a little bit for the bus that should be arriving with Traverse City people arriving in DC for the DC Climate March. Those folks should be getting off the bus in DC about 8 o'clock this evening. So we have some really dedicated people, and I think it's going to be huge. And that leads me to the Climate March, the People's Climate March here in Traverse City, which NMEAC is a co-sponsor of. And I'd like to bring up Eric Keller from League of Conservation Voters. Eric has just done an incredible job of organizing this march tomorrow. So he's going to let him have a minute to tell you about what he's done. And hopefully everybody will join in tomorrow at noon at the open space. Hey, Eric.
All right, well, thank you, Greg, and thank you, NMEAC. Give a huge round of applause to everybody in NMEAC that does great work day in and day out. Do that real quick, thank you. And I think I'm in the right room because I'm in a room with a bunch of change makers. And I'm feeling really good about that. Obviously, you know, I, as an individual, can't do anything alone. So I'm so super impressed at the amount of people that have been coming together to essentially make this climate march here in Traverse City a huge event. And I think one of the biggest ones in the country, considering how small we are. I grew up in northern Michigan. Some of my first memories are jumping off the dock at my parents' house or playing hide and seek with my twin brother in cornfields. So I have a huge passion for northern Michigan and our environment. And I think we're obviously in an interesting time. There's a lot of energy out there. A lot of people are actually recognizing the fact that we have some huge problems that need to be addressed. And with that, gives us some opportunity. Obviously, there's a lot of crisis out there right now, whether it's House resolutions calling to terminate the EPA or Trump administration budget proposals saying they're going to slash Great Lakes Restoration Initiative by 97%. So there's a lot to worry about, but there's so many people that are plugging in. I was really happy to hear the national call of action in the beginning of this year. The same coalition of groups that organized the People's Climate March in New York City in 2014, where 400,000 people marched in the streets and did some things like build momentum to pass the Clean Power Plan and other instrumental climate legislation. They got together and they said, all right, we're gonna do a call to action. 100th day of the Trump presidency, we're gonna have mass mobilization in DC. Greg just talked about the bus here from Traverse City. There's buses all across the country that are making their way to DC. And what we've done over the course of the last 3 months, and I see many of you that have been plugged in, dedicating your time, is making something that's a little bit unique here in northern Michigan and bringing so many organizations into the fold. I'm with the Michigan League of Conservation Voters, NMEAC, FLOW, Groundwork Center. There's so many groups, business partners that have come together. What's gonna happen is we're actually gonna take to the streets here in Traverse City. We've got a permit partial to close down portion of Union, down Front Street and back, but it's much more than just a march, right? This is a mass mobilization. This is really just the beginning of us to push back on what we know is wrong. And in order to make sure that that happens, if we want to change everything, we need to have everyone there. So I really look forward to seeing all of you there. Things are kicking off at noon at the open space. We're going to start with some great speakers. The mayor's going to be there, Percy Bird with the Grand Traverse Band, Ottawa and Chippewa Indians, Annie Lively, a high school student, Lisa Wozniak, Michigan League of Conservation Voters are speaking. And then we're going to take to the streets. There's tons of organizations that are coming out. People keep asking me, how many people are going to be there? I'm like, I have no clue. I mean, we've got over 1,000 people signed up, but there's 20,000 other people that know about this. So my personal goal is to make sure that as many people as possible and all of you show up at the open space. We also have over a dozen organizations that are going to be tabling. So whether it's you or your neighbors can plug into actions, whether it's to shut down Line 5 or to advocate for clean energy solutions. This is just the first step in a long fight. But the one good thing I feel about Northern Michigan is that we've got all of you here to make what we want to happen a reality. So thank you very much. Noon, the open space, bring your walking shoes, some signs, and your family, and let's make this a big deal in more than just one day. Let's build a movement. So thank you, and thank you, NMEAC, for everything that you do.
So next up, we have a student environmentalist from NMC, Maya James.
Hello? Gotta find out if this mic is working. Hey, Malin, want to help me out with this? Hi, everyone. Well, let me tell you, I'm going to do some poetry for you today, but before I get to that, I am going to just tell you about my group that we're going to be meeting regularly next year. So we're Students United for Social and Environmental Justice, and there's Malin. And basically our group is about taking all of the problems of like feminism, race relations, and then combining them with the very important problem of climate change, which really does play into everything. When we realize the kind of institutions that are dividing us when it comes to identifying ourselves, we regularly realize that they also have a lot to do with income inequality. And it's purely political, but our Earth ending is not a political issue. So I basically am working with other students, and I'm hoping that you tell students that you know, or other people that you are a part of their lives to be a part of this, and like definitely try and connect with us and figure out if this sounds like a group for you, because I really just want to bring the cause to everyone. So that's my group, but I'm going to perform this poetry for you, and that's what I was asked to do tonight. Hello. We aren't Adele chasing pavements or making more broken promise cravings to write on a postcard to who we once were. No. We're new and upcoming. We're fresh and vibrant, and some people think we are really, really stupid. We are 2, 3, 4 inches from the television screen, unwavering passion vibrating in the air. Tonight is my favorite show. It's called My Generation. It's risky, it's funny, it's kind of like Game of Thrones or the Baby Boomers or both, and now it's down to season 3. See, season 3 is where it all hangs loose. Season 3 is when the Pentagon armored small-town police departments like the Faith of the Seven, trained them to shoot and not negotiate. Meanwhile, a woman stands before the Supreme Court with desperation in her eyes, before a row of displeased old white men who want her to have no control over her own body. So she enters the room with a sense of confidence that exceeds her, because her daughter has a smile like the sun waking you up right on time for work, and she's probably still sleeping. And at night, her eyes greet her like 1,000 flying dahlias in the wind. She wants her to know that self-love matters, because her picture makes her turn away to hide the earth that lies within her face so as not to take it. Mom, I'm not wearing makeup. But she's 13. She doesn't have to. She wants her to know that she has triple the beauty and doesn't need to have half the body that Sofia Vergara does. More importantly, she wants her to know that the person you decide to have children with is the most important decision you will ever make. Meanwhile, the cliche story that all our parents ignored happens. We have gassed the land, and all that is left is the remains of polar bears who fought tooth and nail through extinction. Florida, Rhode Island, and New York City are all 20 meters underwater, and the pipelines are just dug deeper, because capitalism has always meant more to us than our livelihood, or has it? Meanwhile, a river runs through the broken vein in a black man's chest. No, a black child's chest. No, a black teenager's chest. And no, one cries. No one says a word. It's mentioned at the end of a daily news report, right after the lottery winnings and before the show goes off air, and now we're here. Season 3, the finale, the final, the last chance, and as in finales, finally, people are wondering why the clouds don't look right anymore. Why our resources are dwindling and our population is too large to sustain it, why there are no more Martin Luther Kings, no more Joan of Arcs, no more Gloria Steinems or Malcolm X's or Tupac Tufinis or me. And the sea level is rising. And the women are in pain. And no one cries. No one says a word anymore. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing stuff. Now I'd like to bring up my co-chair, Ann Rogers. She's been the longest serving NMEAC board member, and we all consider her an inspiration. Ann, come on up to introduce our guest speaker.
As you heard, the words that are in our mission statement of education and action carry us forward. Our legacy fund is part of this action part, and especially when litigation is needed. We have supported many groups over the years and worked with many groups, and lately we have been supporting the people who were arrested at Standing Rock. These brave people have been at war for thousands of years. And when they used chemical warfare on them, on rubber bullets and dogs, we were outraged. I have a group locally that is working with the legal groups out there to defend those who were arrested, and they are having much success. Holly Bird is part of that group, and she's with our local tribe. If you want to help, we still have great need, and there is a jar out on our NMEAC table when you leave. 50 cents, $1, whatever you can afford. If you want to spend more than that and have your checkbook, write it out to NMEAC, and we'll send it through our legacy fund. So we hope you can help a little. We've already contributed $1,000, and we're working to make it more. Josh Fox has a new film out about Standing Rock. It's called Awake. Some of you may be aware of it. You can check it out on YouTube. It's fantastic. And if you are a certain age, what your teacher taught you in grade school about our Native Americans is all flawed. I would recommend getting a copy of An Indigenous People's History of the United States and learning more about these brave people. We need them. We need to learn from them, and Aaron is here to help us. I'm not going to read the list of credits that are in the program. You can do that for yourself. But his presence and his willingness to speak out on behalf of all of us is something that we desperately need. The one thing that wasn't listed in the program, and I understand that he is a runner and runs many, many miles a day. I'm not sure how many, but that is inspiring in and of itself. So, Aaron Payment, chairperson of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe, we are delighted to have you here. And that's for you.
Yeah, I am a runner, so I try to do about 60 miles a week, and I've consistently done that since January of this year. I run every single day. I don't miss at all unless I'm sick. If I'm sick, I don't miss either. It's not very pretty. But so ani buju, biwakjig indishnakas, makwa magizi indotum, bawating indonjaba, Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Odawa, Otawatami, and Dow. My name is Aaron Payment, and I'm the chairperson of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians. I'm the chair of the Chippewa Ottawa Resource Authority, which is an intertribal governing body over our treaty-ceded territory and our waters. Also the president of the United Tribes of Michigan, the vice president of the Midwest Alliance of Sovereign Tribes, and executive officer for the National Congress of American Indians. I share all that with you because I want you to know that at all levels, we support shutting down Line 5 at all levels of Indian country. Today, however, I speak to you as an Anishinaabe and the son of a tribal commercial fisherman. My father was a tribal commercial fisherman, and tribal fishing and protecting the rights of our fishermen and our treaty rights is in my DNA. Everyone has a responsibility to act, so what can you do? I've involved myself because I understand my vested interest as an Indigenous person of Turtle Island and with a treaty legacy to uphold. There are lots of things that we can do. After we're done here tonight, I will be traveling to Bay City with my nephew, Armand Payment, who is right here, and he will be competing in a statewide competition. He regionally won a regional competition on protecting our Great Lakes and shutting down Line 5. If he wins tomorrow in Bay City, or I should say when he wins in Bay City, if he doesn't win, he's got to figure out how to get home. But when he wins in Bay City tomorrow, then we will go to nationals in Washington, D.C. So a 12-year-old has taken this interest and is speaking out on Line 5, so we all have a role to play. So let's thank Armand Payment. Okay. Okay. So I want to talk briefly about how I got involved. So first of all, I lived through the Enbridge spill at the Kalamazoo River while I served as the executive director for the local tribe there. There were several warning signs and failed safety checks that went unheeded. This became apparent when in congressional testimony taken by my good friend, Congressman Mark Schauer. As a result of exposing spills that happen in the normal course of business, I came to realize spills are just a part of the oil industry for which they bank on the fact that we will either not find out or that these spills become normalized. After the Enbridge Line 6 spill started, it was allowed to go on for 17 hours unabated as the company claims they thought it was a false alarm. For 17 hours. I am a witness that the response was chaotic and the outcome devastating, as it is expected to take over 100 years to return the ecology to before the spill. Various community meetings were held thereafter, and for weeks no one understood their role or responsibility. The local paper said it was like Keystone Cops. People were displaced from their homes, and only recently did the litigation get settled, and over 800,000 gallons of oil spilled, and nearly a decade of economic recovery. Again, ecological recovery will not happen in our lifetimes. Think about that for a second. You look around the room, there is nobody in this room that will be alive at the time that the pre-spill ecology gets back to normal. That's unacceptable. About 4 years ago, I was asked to participate in a joint media event in Lansing coordinated by the Oil and Water Don't Mix and For Love of Water to expose the fact that the state didn't even know where the easements were for Line 5 underneath the Mackinac Bridge. It was the activism of people, good people, that started asking questions before the state even knew that they didn't know where the easements were or the conditions in the easements. After activists began exposing the threat of Line 5 to the Great Lakes, the governor was finally forced to do something, so he created a commission or pipeline safety group during a campaign, which I believe was a campaign tactic. And I'm grateful for the invites of Flow and Oil and Water Don't Mix for involving me. I've spoken at about 13 different events, and this has blossomed into at least a dozen events that I've spoken to. Several of these were coordinated by my good friend Lon Johnson, and by the way, I just talked with him and he's not done yet, so we can plan for that. I believe the collaborative efforts of several partners advanced this issue to the public eye and helped mobilize action to secure resolutions to shut down Line 5 at dozens of local communities, except for some strange reason, St. Ignace. St. Ignace isn't on board yet. And including all Michigan tribes, United Tribes of Michigan, Midwest Alliance of Sovereign Tribes, and the National Congress of American Indians. I was involved in at each one of those levels to pass the resolutions to shut down Line 5 and to protect our waters and our environment from these oil pipelines. Indian country is unanimous in our desire to shut down Line 5. Even though the Pipeline Safety Task Force was created, it did not include any American Indian representation, imagine that, including those 5 1836 treaty tribes who, per a federal consent decree, have a legal role in co-managing our fisheries resource. I believe the governor has been derelict in not addressing the issue and the threat of Line 5 that it represents. Given the governor initially failed to appoint an American Indian to the task force, I repeatedly urged the governor to correct this slight of not including tribes on this pipeline, and he has since appointed an individual, and I am grateful for the work that Homer Mendoka, the former chairperson of the Huron-Band of Potawatomi, he did pick a chairperson, but he didn't pick a chairperson from one of the treaty tribes that has a vested interest in this territory, but I am grateful because Homer has done a great job. Unfortunately, as you know, the governor has also appointed a big oil lobbyist and spokesperson, the head of the DEQ. With the Flint water poisoning, Line 5, Graymont mining, water diversion approval, and appointing an oil lobbyist to the DEQ, Governor Snyder has become a national embarrassment. His record clearly shows he puts big business ahead of Michigan citizens and the voters. The Anishinaabe people, my people, have inhabited the Great Lakes Basin since time immemorial. Long before the current political boundaries were drawn, my people have lived in balance near the Great Lakes for our home, our food, and our drink, our work, and our spiritual connection to our treaty territory. As the Indigenous people, we have an inherent responsibility to protect and preserve our Aki and Nebi, our Mother Earth, and our beautiful waters. Our traditional teachings combine with modern science to strengthen our historical understanding that water is the lifeblood of Mother Earth. Our science rivals that of state officials, but without a bias towards exploitation. At a time that environmental science is under attack, we have to be diligent in fighting back with evidence and with science. You know, the Earth is not flat. Erasing all the EPA science databases will not change this fact, nor will it reverse the tide of climate change and global warming. There are only two outcomes for the future of Line 5, and one of these two will happen. Either it is decommissioned before it ruptures, or it is decommissioned after it ruptures. This line is already beyond its extended lifespan, and it will fail. A catastrophe is imminent. The big question is, will we take the responsible action to prevent it, or will we be forced to remediate a tragedy that could have been prevented? This is your clarion call. I realize I'm preaching to the converted with this audience, But we must be energized and not be deterred, no matter how much a hostile legislature or administrative branch wishes to exploit our Mother Earth. A decommission plan must be put in place immediately, and a plan devised to take this line out of service before it destroys our fisheries, our tourism, and our livelihoods, and so many Michigan residents and tourists enjoy. Why would tourists want to come to see an oil slick or devastated lifestyle and wildlife? Pure Michigan can hardly be pure with the stench of oil. Millions of tourism funds will go to another state. Enbridge Line 5 is now nearly 13 years beyond its 50-year lifespan. Numerous small ruptures have already occurred on portions of the same landline, including a spill on the bank of the Manistee River just 1 mile from Lake Michigan. It happened in Kalamazoo. It happened in December of 14 in Manistee. It defies logic that it will not happen again. The water that would be impacted by any spill from Line 5 in the Straits area, including the northern Lake Michigan and Lake Huron, which encompasses our fish spawning, nursery, and our fishing areas within the 1836 treaty. It is estimated that more than half of the tribal fisheries will be devastated and be destroyed. This is a lifestyle that my people have enjoyed for thousands of years, since the time Jesus Christ walked this earth. And with a spill, it will devastate and destroy our way of life. Again, the state's dereliction here is inexcusable. 1 million gallons of oil sits underneath the bridge as we speak. A catastrophic oil spill in the Straits of Mackinac would also have severe impacts on the sports fishery. So this is not only an environmentalist issue, it's an economic issue, and it's a sporting issue as well. Take note, wildlife fishers and sport fishers, as much of their fishing will be also devastated. A spill at the Straits would result in a shutdown of municipal water intakes for the numerous communities, devastate the shoreline of the Mackinac Island ecosystem, and our surrounding tourism industry. Again, tens of millions of Michigan tourism revenues are at stake. The wanton disregard for the environment by this unitary state form of government, with the House and Senate of the same party and a governor who knowingly sat idle while children in Flint were drinking lead water, is immoral. This got exponentially worse with the U.S. presidential administration, who has no regard for tomorrow, let alone our environment today. This is evidenced in the approval of the Dakota Access Pipeline almost immediately after he was sworn in. We have seen attempts to deregulate the hunting of wolves, a planned mine in the traditional hunting and gathering location for my people at Rexton, foot dragging on Line 5 with commission after commission and study after study, while the issue is effectively being stalled for big business to drive as much revenue as they can, while the threat grows each week, each day, and each minute. So I have a quick PowerPoint that I want to show you. I was just going to do a speech, but I want to share with you, this is a heavy issue, but I want to show you some of the efforts that are happening in Indian country to address this issue. So this is of course our bridge in the Straits of Mackinac, and you can see Turtle Island over here. And so protecting our key and to be Mother Earth and our waters. So this is up in where the locks are now, but before the locks, before we signed a treaty that allowed for that to happen, this is my ancestors that are fishing in the St. Mary's River, and they're fishing for whitefish. So this has long been our tradition. This is our treaty map. This is the Royce map, and this shows my tribe's treaty is from Marquette to Escanaba east, and then from Alpena to Ludington north. This is all our treaty territory. In this treaty, we retain the right to hunt, fish, and gather into perpetuity, forever, for our people. And so that's why we have a vested interest and also a legal right to protect our waters. This is where my people live. This is a plot map. Each one of these little green dots are members of my tribe across the state of Michigan. You can see the concentration of us in this area. This is a picture of Enbridge. So this is line 5, this is line 6. And again, I was at Kalamazoo when the spill happened. And then I'm up here and I'm fighting like hell to make sure that a spill doesn't happen here. You can see this is a Canadian company, and the oil travels right through Michigan. The benefit is it's negligible. The benefit for Michigan residents is negligible. The number of jobs is probably just a couple of dozen for this whole pipeline. It doesn't serve Michigan, there's some propane in the UP, but that doesn't have to come across underneath the bridge. So the benefit for Michigan residents for this Canadian company is negligible. This is Turtle Island. Mi'kmaq is our word for turtle in Anishinaabe-Moin, our Ojibwe language, and this is a sacred territory. Centuries ago, we migrated from the East Coast to this territory based on a vision an American Indian woman had to go to Turtle Island. That's Turtle Island, is Mackinac Island. That word means turtle. So when the spill happens, and you're going to see in another map, this entire island will be engulfed in oil. They get their water from the fresh water source here, and they will have to evacuate the island for about a month. And so imagine the tourism economic impact, but also the livelihoods and the people that live on the island will be displaced for an entire month. This is the famous U of M simulation where they use the data, and you can go on flow, or also oil and water don't mix to see this, and it shows the currents and the impact. Within 4 hours, Mackinac Island will be completely engulfed in oil. Within 4 hours. There will be a danger of ignition for several hours, so people have to be careful how they get off the island. Mostly people are probably going to have to fly off the island. This is the pipeline that spilled at Line 6 in Kalamazoo. They say these are safe. They're big and they look like, they could be safe, but they're not safe. These are old pipelines. The pipeline underneath the bridge is about 14 to, I think, 16 years older than the one at Kalamazoo. And this one didn't have all of the currents and all of the environment to try to erode the integrity of the pipeline. This is our first rally that we had in St. Ignace at the Locks Park, facing the bridges over here. And so you have some people from Flow and from also Oil and Water Don't Mix. And this is our simulated pipeline. This is a rally that we had on Mackinac Island to bring attention to it. This one is interesting because Enbridge has been spending a lot of money to try to affect local government to not take an interest in this, to say everything's safe, don't worry about it. We know that in some communities there's been trucks purchased for the local government. That might explain why some cities have not passed resolutions. But when we first started to have plan this rally, we got bumped like 4 times. We were going to have it at City Hall on Mackinac Island, and then clearly Enbridge lobbied, and we got bumped. So then we moved to another site, then we got bumped. Finally, we ended up at a church. This one was at the Trinity Church. So, and then finally, we were able to have one about a year later. We did have one in City Hall, and once the government over there and the mayor understood what's at stake for Mackinac Island, they jumped on board, and they're 100% with us now. This is Ed Tim. He's been a godsend because he's a retired engineer that understands pipelines and stresses and weights and the risk that this represents for real, and he is countering the data that's being put out by Enbridge to say that this is safe. He has been amazing. So if you know him, I heard a clap over here. If you know him, if you get a chance to see him, please thank him because his science background has helped us so that they don't just see this as an environmentalist issue. There's science behind it. This is a spill waiting to happen. Ed Tim. Yep. Oh, wait, I forgot. There's my friend also, Lon Johnson, right there. Okay, and this is where we went to Sault Ste. Marie. Initially, and I have to thank Jay Gage for this because he came to an event and then we asked him if he would support us. He was kind of hesitant at first because he was new on the city commission. Then he went to the city commission, he asked them, and I can tell you behind the scenes, they were not going to support it. But we packed the house. Phil was there, a number of us were there, and one by one we spoke. We had I think 2 minutes each. We got to speak for 2 minutes each. But one by one we spoke and we turned it around and we got the city of Sault Ste. Marie to support us as well. This is a poster for, we had an event in Mackinac City. This is in 2016, and we had actually 2 events happening at the same time, but we had a music festival. This one, I love this one. This is Fred Harrington. How many know Fred Harrington? Anybody know Fred Harrington? He's a member of the Little Travers Band, and he went to the pipeline safety hearing, And he and his nephew, or his grandson, they wore shorts, and he's a retired Marine, and he smeared this dark cake batter on to simulate oil, and he sat in the audience, and then he addressed them, and it was stark, and he got their attention for sure, but I have to give credit to Fred Harrington for that. This is just speaking at that festival. Every chance I get, I address this issue. I love this picture. These are Anishinaabe Kwe, and this guy, I forget his name, but he's from Mackinac Island. This has been a group that has been what is his name? Anthony Trazer. This has been a group that's been involved, and wherever we're having a demonstration, they get there because they want to respect our Mother Earth. So I love this picture. It's beautiful. And then this is in Lansing, our rally in Lansing. This is in Sault Ste. Marie. It was a little bit cold. I do have to clarify that little white strip right there. My hair is gray, but it's not white. That's the lady behind me. That's not my hair. So throughout all of this, Dakota Access Pipeline issue also came into the forefront. So we've really benefited from that issue, and unfortunately we lost that battle, but we believe we're going to win the war on it. And so we've been supporting each other. This is at National Congress of American Indians, where we passed a resolution at the national level. We have 567 tribes. There's over 300 tribes that are a member of NCAI. We passed a resolution calling for the shutdown and the protection of our Mother Earth as well. This is the Lakota prophecy of the black snake. Centuries ago, the Lakota talked about this black snake that would threaten and endanger our Mother Earth, and that is the pipeline, the Dakota Access Pipeline. Like I said, we have been fighting this battle. We finally got the Obama administration to have the Corps of Engineers put a stop to the development of it, but unfortunately, within a couple of days after Trump became president, he reversed all of that action, and it's a green light. However, we are still fighting this battle with the investors, and we're winning with some investors who are turning away from this investment because of the threat to our Mother Earth. Okay, and this one I'm very proud of. So Dave Archambault is the chair of the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe. He's been a national leader on this issue. This is a very delicate issue because thousands of people, over 6,000 or 7,000 people, were encamped in their traditional territory. There's a lot of issues involved when a lot of people from a lot of areas come around, so it's been a little scary for him. He did tell me that, that one warrior came to him and said, "We're ready to die for this." And he said, "I don't want you to die. I don't want any of that here in this. We want this to be with a good spirit. We're going to fight for our rights, but you have a responsibility to your future generations, so don't talk like that." So this man is a great man of integrity, and so this was my quote in recognizing him at the National Congress of American Indians. He received a national award. "Leaders are tested through challenges and triumphs. Great leaders rarely realize their place in history, as their humility often masks their contributions. Chairman Archambault is one of such great leader. Through the Dakota Access Pipeline struggle, he's led with distinction, vision, and care for our Indigenous people." He's a great man. So this is again at National Congress of American Indians. We are unified. This is tribal people from all across the country who are calling for a shutdown of these dangerous pipelines. And this one I want to show you, I said earlier that it's become normalized. Spills are normalized. They're happening a lot. Over 1 million gallons of oil has been spilled on Line 5 already. We just don't hear about it. So this is all documented, and this is the National Wildlife Federation. All of these sites have experienced oil spills since Line 5 has been in place, over 1 million gallons. So 800,000 gallons spilled at Line 6 in Kalamazoo. This pipeline has already spilled 1 million gallons. We can't afford to spill any more. This, and just some fun ones, these are from Washington, D.C. So this is, again, a demonstration. This is the largest demonstration of American Indians since 1974. And we're just calling attention to shut down these unsafe pipelines. This one is a little fun. This is in front of Trump Tower in Washington, D.C. And so when we started, this was a 4 or 5 mile hike. we had warriors, and I didn't understand what they were doing, but they were carrying poles. They were carrying teepee poles and canvases. So we marched, and when we got in front of Trump Tower, we stopped. I'm like, why are we stopping? And what happened is real quickly, these warriors put up this teepee in front of Trump Tower, and we stayed there till we were told to take it down. And of course, I couldn't resist telling everybody that the Russians were watching us from up here. I can't help myself sometimes. And again, this is the White House. You can see how many people were part of this. This movement is just beginning. And water is life. And then protect the earth and fight for our tribal sovereign rights. So I want to finish up by saying, I want to stress that there are only two possible outcomes for Enbridge Line 5 at the Straits of Mackinac, and one of these two things will happen. The pipeline will rupture and cause catastrophic damage to the Great Lakes system, or a regulatory environment or agency, if it still exists, will succeed in requiring decommissioning of the Straits segment before a catastrophe occurs. Enbridge has been incredibly effective at buying local support. Local governments who have not been bought need to take a stand and pass a resolution, attend an information session, and join the cause to protect what is our own pristine waters of our pure Michigan. Let's keep pure Michigan pure. Time is of essence. Our Anishinaabe teachings tell us that water is the lifeblood of our Mother Earth. Damage to our waters would mean damage to our way of life, and we will fight to protect our treaty rights. Thank you. I wanted to, where's the check? I want to donate the check. Back to you guys. I don't know where it is though. Oh, here it is. I know when we're doing it. Okay, I didn't know this. I didn't agree to come here to receive a check. So I do have a check. There's a stipend for doing my presentation, a $200 check, and I'm going to donate this back to the fund that you just talked about. So thank you. Do I have to endorse it? I think I have to endorse it, right?
Thank you so much, Aaron. Thank you so much.
So let me endorse it.
I want to say that we have so many outstanding nominees tonight, and this is why we do this big, thick program that you have in front of you. And we also have a tradition of calling up last year's winner to present this year's award. When I call, and we're going to start off with the student category. When I call your name, please stand. And when I call your name, please stand. So student category, Annie Lively, Glen Lake High School. Elliot Smith, Students for Environmental Advocacy. I think it's Traverse City Central High School. And we've got the Environthon and Students for World Awareness, Glen Lake High School, Students for World Awareness School and Recycling Club. The whole group is nominated. And Martin Chown, Students for Environmental Advocacy, I believe Traverse City Central High School. Last year's winner was David Meyer from Citizens Climate Lobby, Traverse City West High School. Is he here? No? Okay. So I'll do the winners. Elliot Smith and Martin Chown, Traverse City Central High School. I'm going to give you both of them.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Want to step up to the mic? Say a few words?
Yeah. Hello. And I'd like to thank Mr. Ryzik and NMEAC for this wonderful award. Thank you. And this is a wonderful award. I feel really blessed to receive this special award. Elliot can't be here tonight. He's on his way to DC with some other members of the club to join in the march tomorrow. But round of applause for that. And you know, I feel really grateful to him because he was the one who really, he started C Club, which stands for Students for Environmental Advocacy, this fall at Central High School. And you know, I'm one of his best friends, and he originally, he kind of pulled me along to the meetings, and then I started to get really into it. I started reading books, magazine articles from my mom, and other things. And I started on our solar project, which we have a website now, and chssolarproject.weebly.com. It's not quite finished, but you could check it out. And our goal is to install a 50 kilowatt solar system on the roof of Traverse City Central High School to clean energy, sustainability, and there's 3 parts of that. It's educational benefits through STEM, science, math, and technology, weather sensors, TV monitoring systems, incorporating that into curriculum. Then there's obviously the power that it would save our school system, but then obviously the main focus is providing clean energy for our future, our planet, and helping to protect that. And that's the main focus. And I'd just like to thank NMEAC once again for this great award, and all the leaders who are here in this room tonight. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, yes. Introduce yourself.
Okay, so I'm not Elliot Smith. I am his father. Thank you, Martin. That was awesome. But I'm going to read a very quick statement from Elliot. I want to tell you about the environmental club that I began with friends at Central High School this year. Sleep is precious, especially to a high schooler, but every week I'm greeted by around 20 of my classmates who have sacrificed 30 minutes of their night for one reason: to protect the environment. They come from a variety of political backgrounds: Democratic, Independent, and yes, Republican. The club was able to, after one day of standing at a table in the hallway, collect over 100 constituent comment forms from students and teachers who believe Congress should act on climate change. We have raised funds to send 13 of our club members to Washington in June to lobby Congress with Citizen Climate Lobby, and as Martin just told you, we're actively working with school administrators and community advisors to install a solar array on Central High School next year. The cure to feeling better about these times is simple. You just have to start doing stuff. I had wanted to start an environmental club since I entered high school, but it took my actually doing it to start making positive change. Thank you so much for this award.
Next up, we have the nominees for Educator of the Year, Environmentalist of the Year in the Education category. Matt Miller from the Human Nature School. James Dake, Grass River Natural Area. Karen Richard, Glen Lake High School. Dave Mahan, ASABL Institute for Environmental Studies. Corey Hansen, the Greenspire School. Kim Ranger, Elk Rapids Schools. Augusta Kummer, Seeds. Last year's winner was Tara Denherter from Traverse City West Middle School. Are you here? Come on up.
Good evening. Last year it was my honor and privilege to receive the award of Environmentalist of the Year in Education. I believe environmental education is extremely important and will always be relevant. Back in 1975, the United Nations Councils on Education and the Environment drafted this goal. The goal of environmental education is to develop a world population that is aware of, concerned about, the environment and its associated problems, and which has the knowledge, skills, attitudes, motivations, and commitment to work individually and collectively towards solutions of current problems and the prevention of new ones. I love that goal. These values hold true today, yet the modern student is faced with balancing environmental awareness with the onset of a media ecosystem. Richard Louv reminds us in his book, Last Child in the Woods, that nature presents the young with something so much greater than they are. It offers an environment where they can easily contemplate infinity and eternity. This year, I am honored to recognize the work of other educators who believe in the power and the value of nature. This year, we have two winners, Dave Mahan and Kim Ranger.
I'll take that one, and I'll take the envelope.
Okay, well, I did not plan any kind of speech, but I have to say that I'm very fortunate that I've taught for many years, and about 4 years ago, I had the opportunity to become the coordinator of our International Baccalaureate program. I think the biggest thing out of that was working with children, working with teachers to instill the idea that kids can take action in their world. And I also look around here and I see so many community partners that have helped our students to do that. So I just want to say thank you. This is a great honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just as a brief interlude, this is a sign I'm going to be carrying tomorrow at the Climate March. Next up is Grassroots Group, and we have Jim Kamandara, Preserve Old Mission. John Ransom and Amy Morizon, the Benzie Plastic Awareness Collective. Joe DeFors, Northport Energy Action Task Force. And Aubrey Ann Parker, Benzie Solar Initiative. Last year's winner was Peggy Case from Michigan Citizens for Water Conservation. I don't think Peggy's here tonight, so I'll give out this award. Joe DeFors from Northport Energy Action Task Force, and Jim Kamandara from Preserve Old Mission. Come on up. Hey, Jim, how you doing? Yeah, sure. Come on up and say something. Joe? Oh, sure.
Hello, everyone. I'm very honored and humbled to have this award. This is only my second NMEAC event. And I want to thank Greg and Ann and Dave for all the support they've given us at Preserve Old Mission. We started a nonprofit. I was struck last year at listening to the award winners, and even this year, how just one individual will just start asking questions. They'll just start asking a question, and then it gets to another question, and they follow their questions, and things happen. And that's what we did on the peninsula. We started a nonprofit, Preserve Old Mission. We have a website, preserveoldmission.org. We have 44 members, and our first signature movement was to oppose the 81 on East Bay. We feel that it was not approved properly, and the environmental soil quality and erosion of the project as proposed we felt was improper. And we're fighting a big developer with lots of money. And Ann and Greg and Dave have come before our board, the township board, which is a new board. The old board has been totally defeated. The new board has been very environmentally sensitive, and they've spoken on our behalf, and we really appreciate that from NMEAC. So I just want to thank you again for this award.
Wow, thank you very much. I'm too am very humbled. As I thought about this a little bit, I don't really feel like I should be here. There's so many people in this room who've worked for so long and accomplished so much. But of course, I'll accept this award, and I accept it for our great group, Northport Energy. We all walk in the footsteps of those who came before us, and we're nearing our 10th anniversary now as an organization. There are at least 3 of our founders in this audience that I'd like to recognize, and that's Ann and Doug McGinnis. Phil von Voigtlander. And if there are others I didn't see, forgive me, but thank you. We all walk in the footsteps of those who came before us. It's our job, it's our planet, as was said earlier. So thank you very much.
Next category is journalism and communications. The nominees are Joe Vandermeulen, Nature Change, and Kathleen Stocking, author of Leelanau County. Last year's winner was Jakob Wheeler. He's going to present this year's awards. Right here.
Journalism, environmental and journalism in particular, may be more important in this country and this community than at any point in our history. Dangers like Line 5, demagogues and jokers masquerading as national leaders, calling journalism the enemy of the state or the enemy of the people. It's more important now, more than ever. We're lucky to have great environmental journalism being practiced and put forth in this community. Great environmental journalism that examines the changes and impacts that we see in nature and habitats every day, differences in the migration of birds or the size of eagles, or all kinds of changes reported by people who have lived here for generations. How does the environment impact them, and how do they impact the nature? How do they impact the environment? This is what goes into strong environmental journalism. So without further ado, the winners, this year we have 2. It's a great honor to present the Academy Award for Environmental Journalism to both Kathleen Stocking and Joe Vandermeulen of Nature Change.
Thank you. I'm deeply touched.
I can't help but take the chance to advertise naturechange.org. Please go online. We'd love to have your subscription. Lots of good stories there about things going on in your community. you'll see an essay by Hank Bailey. You see an essay by Dave Dempsey. You see a lot of video work that actually Jakob Wheeler helped with. And I am interested in contributions. If folks would like to develop their own essay or their own video, we had a student here at NMC contribute a video to Nature Change. Love to see some of that work. And thank you for this honor. Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Next category is Environmentalist of the Year in Business. The nominees are Rick Evans from Paradigm Energy Services, Jim McGinnis, Crystal Mountain Resort, Rich Bergman, Lake Charlevoix Brewing, Chris Treater, Higher Grounds Trading Company, Nate Crane and Tina Shute, Rare Bird Brewing, and Alan O'Shea from CBS Solar. Last year's winner was Nathan Griswold in Habitat LLC. He couldn't be here tonight, so I'll give out the award. Chris Treater, Higher Grounds Trading Company.
Hi, my name is Joshua Brand. I'm Director of Operations at Higher Grounds, and unfortunately Chris couldn't be here tonight to accept. He's out of town. But he did want me to come and say we're very honored, thank you very much, and we're going to remain committed to our entire supply chain. The climate change very obviously affects coffee farmers around the world. If you go and talk to them, they've experienced it firsthand and lost. It's devastated their crops in many different ways. And we have committed ourselves to helping them, and you've helped them through your just supporting the fundraising efforts that we've done, and also we've done our best to try and be involved in environmental projects here in the community. So it's a real honor to be part of this amazing community of environmental leaders. Chris is an excellent speaker. If you've ever seen him in person, I'm sure he would regale you with an amazing story, and I am not that, but I hope you know that we're very honored. So. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Next up is Environmentalist of the Year, Public Service or Public Office. The nominees are DJ Shook, Grand Traverse Band, Ottawa and Chippewa Indians. Carl Platts, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Jim Carruthers, Mayor of Traverse City. And Kristen Meredith, Leelanau Clean Water. Last year's winner was Marlene Wood, Benzie County Recycling and Solid Waste Management. This year's winner is Jim Carruthers, Mayor of Traverse City. Yes, there you go.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, NMEAC. Thank you, Ann. Thank you all for being here. I'm honored to share the pages of this booklet with all these people. It's you guys that are doing all this work and making all this great stuff happen, and it's really great to be amongst all those being honored here tonight. So I'm going to accept this award on behalf of all of you, because it's your work that makes it all happen and forces us in elected positions to make the hard decisions, to push for policy, to push for, action on a higher level and get things done. So it's the work around you that forces us to do the right thing. So keep resisting, keep calling your representatives, keep bugging us and keep on us, make us go to coffee, talk to us, and make it work. But I especially want to thank, based on the 100% renewable that Traverse City is now working towards, we share that challenge with now with Northport and Grand Rapids. I was in Lansing this week to talk about that with the mayor of Grand Rapids, not Lansing, to talk about what we're trying to do. And I really want to thank Elizabeth Dell from the Citizens Climate Lobby, Kate Madigan from the Michigan Environmental Council, Dan Worth from Seeds and Dan Worth from Groundworks, and Sarna Saltzman from Seeds, because they're the people that really pushed me to understand that we can do this. And bringing Mayor Hartwell up from Grand Rapids a year ago to really talk about what he did there really set the stage for us up here to do the right thing. I mean, we've been pretty progressive in Traverse City with renewable energy, from the wind tower on the hill to setting renewable goals at Light and Power, pushing for solar projects. We have the first ever partnership with Cherryland Electric and TCLP on a solar project out in Grand. So we're doing what we can up north, but all that was made possible by the good work of all you sitting out there and pushing that along. So thank you, I'm honored, and I really appreciate this evening. I really appreciate this. I'm a longtime activist for the environment, for our water, for our clean environment, for our character up here. So I'm really glad to be living here now, or I've lived here a long time, but thank you for all of you for living here too and making things work for us. So let's keep it up and let's close line 5 and let's keep what Northern Michigan and the Great Lakes is all about, is protecting life, protecting the environment, protecting people. Thank you.
Environmentalists of the Year Professional. The nominees are Bill Palladino, the Groundworks Center, Taste the Local Difference. Sarah Eichberg, Michigan State University Extension. Wendy Irvin, Habitat for Humanity Depot Project. Rachel Johnson, Cherryland Electric Cooperative. Jim Lively, Groundworks Center for Resilient Communities. Taylor Moore, Food Rescue of Northwest Michigan. And Steve Largent, Grand Traverse Conservation District. Last year's winner was Skip Pruss from Five Lakes Energy, and he's going to come up and present this year's award.
So I think we have so many people on the bus heading to Washington, D.C. That is a great thing. So I just want to sort of state the obvious here. Everybody knows this. NMEAC is just such a wonderful organization. I think of them as sort of an umbrella organization that they are active on so many issues, but they, in such a non-competitive way, support and guide and help all the other great NGOs we have in the Traverse City area, which is unbelievable. They've been mentioned: Circle of Blue and Groundworks and Flow and Seeds. We have just this wealth of commitment. But you guys, you and Ann, run this organization. You do it on a complete volunteer basis. There's no paid staff whatsoever. Am I right on that? Right. And so if anyone really deserves an award, it's the board, it's Ann and Greg. So with that, the winner of the Environmental Professional Year of the Award is Taylor Moore from Food Rescue of Traverse City.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. Yes, sure. Congrats. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. I think I'll start. I'm going to be a little vulnerable here for a moment. I wasn't expecting to say anything.
NMEAC, thank you so much for inviting me here, for recognizing all of our work in the community, and for recognizing food rescue as well. I have to say, I've had blinders on for the past month, working really hard, and I'm just so grateful that you've moved my blinders directly where they need to be. To see you all is just fantastic. It's really inspiring, all that's going on. So Becky and Homer and I started Food Rescue. They are the founders of it. There are many others. Tom Emling is here with us today. Sandy Newman is here with us. There are so many others involved. When you go to a Tom's store, when you go to an Olson's store, when you go to Max Bauer, Oriana, when you go to Walmart, there are people in the back that are rescuing food. They're preventing it from going to the landfill, and all we do is pick it up and we deliver it to food pantries at no cost. This, yeah. That is exceptional. To travel throughout the 5 Northwest counties, I've been saying, name a pantry, and we go there weekly, 5 trucks. If you know of a pantry that we don't serve, we would love to serve them. Food is a human right. It is a justice issue. If you are hungry, if you are malnourished, if you can't sit down and have a meal with others, an injustice has occurred. Food waste is a part of food inequity, and we have a right to protect our land, to live off our land, to sustain our land and sustain ourselves. There are so many people involved, so many wonderful pantries, so many wonderful volunteers. It's a privilege to work in this community. It's a privilege to work at Food Rescue. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. Yes. Next category is volunteer. Environmentalists of the Year volunteer nominees. Becky Norris, Three Lakes Association. Brenda Archambault, Sturgeons for Tomorrow. Marcia Curran, TC 100. Phil Van Voigtlander, Watershed Center of Grand Traverse Bay. Paula Driesen, Grand Traverse Regional Land Conservancy. Elizabeth Del Buono, Citizens Climate Lobby. And Dr. Phil Belfi, Sault Ste. Marie. Last year's winner was Carrie Kelly, Friends of Sleeping Bear Dunes. Carrie's here tonight to give out this year's award.
You know, volunteers are the lifeblood of the environmental movement. How many of you are volunteers? Raise your hand. Look at that. Almost everybody out there is a volunteer. You know, as I looked over the list of nominees for this award tonight, every one of you are very well qualified to win this award. There's no doubt about it. And they're a good example of the kind of volunteers that are sitting out here in the audience today. So the winner of the Environmental Volunteer of the Year for 2017 is Elizabeth Del Buono. Elizabeth? Here she comes.
Oh, it's not me. actually. So thank you very much, NMEAC. I am not Elizabeth Del Bono, I'm Elizabeth Dell. We are sometimes confused, so it works out okay, I think. Elizabeth Del Bono goes by Lisa. She has been an amazing volunteer of ours for 4 years now. She and I both started with CCL at the same time when our chapter started. Maura Brennan started the chapter, and she has really thrown herself in all out. She is a pathologist, and she's become an expert in the health impacts of climate change. And she's very passionate. She's an excellent presenter. If anybody has an interest in her presenting to your organization or a group, contact us, and she would be glad to do that. She's in DC today. She actually had a meeting with Representative Bergman's office, so we are working very hard to build common ground with all of our members of Congress. That's what Citizens Climate Lobby does. And we are having some success. It's a tough road for sure, but there is, not everybody is familiar with this. In the House, there's a Bipartisan Climate Solutions Caucus. There are now 38 members, 19 Republicans and 19 Democrats. 13 Republicans have joined since the election. So we're really making a difference, trying to bring both sides of the aisle together to work on this issue that is so important to all of us. Thank you very much again. I know Lisa would be, she's going to be very pleased to receive this, so thank you so much.
Environmentalists of the Year in the general category, we have Karen Schmidt, the Botanic Gardens at Historic Barnes Park. Yeah, right. Yeah. Sally Somsel, Inland Seas Education Association. Hank Bailey, the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians. Haley Brenizer, Undertow Organic Farms. And Grass River Natural Area. Vicki Olson, CBS Solar. Katie Griesliak, Grand Traverse Conservation District. Ann Zukowski, Friends of the Jordan. Kevin Summers from Seeds. Andy Gale from Bay Area Recycling for Charities. And Jim Lively, Groundwork Center for Resilient Communities. Last year's winner was Jordan Byron from Bay Area Recycling for Charities. Come on up, Jordan.
So I will keep it short, but if any of you were there last year, you remembered I cried the whole time. So I just want to say thanks for last year. And I want to do two quick things. First of all, will all the youth in the audience stand up? You are our future. And I hope you're feeding off the passion in this room. And it's been an incredible week. First of all, to be here tonight at the NMEAC Awards, and the energy in this room is incredible, and I love coming. It's probably one of my favorite evenings of the year, just because the energy and the passion for the environment, it's just energizing, and I love that. But not only is it NMEAC Awards, it is Arbor Day today. And last Friday was Earth Day, and tomorrow we have climate marches all over the United States. So, yay for the environment, woo! All right, two winners. Our first one, Hank Bailey, Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians. And Karen Schmidt, Botanic Gardens at Historic Barnes Park.
Well, I want to thank NMEAC and the good people at NMEAC because this is a wonderful honor. I'm really privileged to work with an incredible board, an amazing number of volunteers, 300 volunteers, almost 1,000 members, and so many donors. And what we all have in common is our passion for the environment and sustainability. And we wanted to build a botanic garden here in northern Michigan that, that models that and that makes it fun for people and beautiful. So we have a place here in Traverse City that shows how you can garden and build and remodel and provide classes that give that message. Last year, 15,000 people came and got the message, and we hope to double that this year. Thank you.
Miigwech to NMEAC for this award. It's quite an honor for me. I've tried to do some good things most of my life since I turned my life around, and for me to receive this award is like I say, a true honor, and I feel great about this. The thing that I just hit me really hard was the previous guy when he had the youth stand up. To me, it's always been the youth. I've kind of given up on us old folks really being able to pull anything off to change this world, but it's always these young faces that I see when, if they're sitting there looking at me and listening to some of my dumb stories, they'll, I see that the real future in their eyes, and it gives me great hope to be part of that, and especially to be in the room with some of the great ones that are here, and especially the old folks that are still plugging and really trying to make a change. I've been fortunate to be involved in some things right here on the Boardman River, and many of the things that have happened right here in our area that is so important to me. And when we talk about the water, I happen to be part of a project with Dartmouth College in which the project was called Indigenous Confluence. And it was all about working with river restoration, dam removal, and this was an international project because some members of us from the Grand Traverse Band were involved in it. We had members from the First Nations in Canada involved, and also the Maori people across the other side of the planet. So it was amazing when we all got together and talked about all the different things, how so much is the same no matter where we're at, whether it's in Canada, whether it's in New Zealand, or what happened here. And so, it's so true that when we get together, we can make things change. And after all those meetings, we became like a family, and we really believe that change can happen. And a lot of that goes back to some of our prophecies that my brother here is aware of. And these things have been talked about, and now we see them starting to come now. And with this river project that we had, or the water project, it made me, my friend here, Frank Deturi, was talking to one of our dear friends from New Zealand, and she was lamenting about how sad it was that we're like a family now, how we couldn't actually get to see each other and hold each other and visit each day. And Frank was visiting with her about that, and all of a sudden, she said something that was so profound to me. She said, well, whenever I think about you guys and I miss you guys, I go down to the river and I put my hand in the water. And she said, when I do that, I'm right there with you because the water connects all of us. And that's so true. So, when you think about it, the waters of our world connect all of our histories and all of our teachings and ceremonies everything. So, if you're missing somebody from way across the world, put your hand in the water, because they can touch the water and reach you that same way. So it's pretty awesome. There's just one thing I'd like to do before I quit talking here is a dear friend of mine who's a pipe carrier several years ago gave me this eagle bone whistle, and he told me not to, we generally use these eagle bone whistles only in our private ceremonies, but he told me, he said, don't be afraid to use this whistle. He said, use it when you need to. And in our culture, mainly when we're in ceremony and we use this eagle bone whistle, it happens to have my clan colors on it. But when we use this eagle bone whistle, what we're doing is calling all our relatives that have walked on before us, and all our, what we call our relations, who are all things around us that we respect. So we use this eagle bone to call all our relations to come and be with us in these ceremonies. And this is a little bit different ceremony, but I would, because of the people that are here and the things we're trying to do, I would like to call all our relations here to be with us and to see what we're trying to do. Miigwech. Oh, miigwech.
Next category is agriculture and farming. The nominees are Paul May from May Farms, Mary and Aaron Brower from Blue Stem Farm, Jonathan Aylward from the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians. Last year's winners were Brian and Amy Tennis, New Mission Organics, Levi Muenberg and Brenda Barron, Realize Homestead, to come up and present this year's award. How you doing?
Sure. How's it going? Great to see so many people in one room without a red hat that says, "Make America Great Again." But in all honesty, it was a real privilege last year, and some of the folks in this room are really people that we look up to and our local heroes.
Hi, I'm Amy Tennis. I want to say thanks. We weren't able to come last year because we were repotting 10,000 propagated plants in our greenhouse. So we really were sad not to be able to come, but want to thank you so much for the award. I am somewhat of an energy conduit, and I've been sitting here blubbering all night. I hope somebody else out there feels the same way, but wow, what a great group. What a great organization. We're so lucky, aren't we? And I also want to thank MSU Extension for having the forethought in 2007, 2008 to start looking for new types of agricultural products that could be more sustainable in our climate change environment. That's how we got into hops. Now we're helping teach others get into hops, and it's helping turn over from stone fruit, things that aren't going to be able to survive in our climate change environment, to something more sustainable. So they've really been on the cutting edge of that and deserve a lot of credit for it. Thank you. And just short but sweet, no farms, no beer. I'm going to let Levi have the pleasure of announcing the winner.
Yeah, I'll just echo what
what a lot of people have been saying. This whole group here is so powerful and so caring, and it's just infectious. So thank you all for that. So the winner of the Environmentalist of the Year in Agriculture / Farming is Paul May of May Farms. Congratulations. And Sharon May. It's not written here, but. It's a pleasure to present this. Thank you. Congratulations.
It's been a while since they cut us off from the beer. That's tough. Sharon, you'd better, if you're going to say anything, you better do it right away.
No, I'm not saying anything.
Okay. Thanks. This is affirming to us. And thank you so much, because this is a powerful group, and I greatly appreciate it. You know, and I thought on the off chance that you would honor me this way, that there were a couple of things in particular that I would say. And then other people came up, and every time that I hear somebody speak, I think, that's what I want to say. And, you know, Hank Bailey and the young people long before him. It's all empowering. And it drives home a point that I had in my head, and it relates to an epiphany that I had in a couple of doses last year. And it's about diversity. And when we earlier were having beer, some of us who are all like-minded individuals, really. I mean, we're all walking down, in my parlance, the same cow path. But we may veer a little bit here and there, yet we're going in the same direction. So this very slight diversity of opinion is a little piece of diversity that we have to have. Here we are in an echo chamber, right? We're all pretty much like-minded people. So small disagreements can't separate us. Obviously, there's a big goal that we have to work for. I'm a producer, and I'll take on the job of speaking for Ben Brown and Reed Johnston and Aaron and Mary Brower. I'll represent for them as a producer. I'm looking at consumers, and maybe you produce tomatoes in your backyard, whatever, that's all part of it, let's go. But as a producer, the epiphanies that came to me last year included understanding that the importance of diversity, it is hard for us to conceive. In the root zone, MSU, and I learned at a field day, the value of the thing that we don't see is the chemistry that moves all of the nutrients back and forth. So I don't know these guys at Glen Lake. I live in Frankfurt. But I got to understand that if not for them, we're suffering over where I am. So I walk around in the field, you know, dodging cow pies and all of that. But the work that the poets do, that's every bit as important as anything that I can do. So we got a lot of work to do. And the one thing that I did want to say that I can remember right now is that it's all about trying to make it real, but compared to what? So let's go.
Okay, all right. We have some special awards to give out. NMEAC is known for special awards. Hang in there, we just have a few more to go. John Nelson Water Steward Award. Last year's winners were TJ Andrews from the Watershed Center. She was here earlier, but she had to leave. And Abby Mahan Gartland, Grand Traverse Regional Land Conservancy. Her husband was here. This year's winner is Jim Lively. And Jim is on the bus to DC, so representing him tonight is his daughter, Annie Lively.
I don't want to speak for my dad, but I know that he's very honored to have this award. He does a lot of work for the community and for the water, and I'm really appreciative of being able to grow up with someone like him teaching me and leading the way. So thank you, NMEAC, for granting my dad this award. He'll be very appreciative. Thank you.
We have this special award that we give out for, it's called the Golden Beaver. It's somebody that does things behind the scenes and rarely gets recognition. Last year's winner was Bill Hansen from NMEAC. And we actually have somebody made, it's one of our award winners about 5 years ago made this. And it goes to Sally Somsel from Inland Seas Education Association. Sally has been doing stuff like the Bioneers, Inland Seas, Maritime Heritage Alliance, beach cleanups, you name it, she's done it, and so glad that she's getting some recognition.
Well, the beaver used to sit on Sarna's desk for a while, and that's when we were doing Bioneer, so I would get to visit it from time to time, and I thought it was a pretty cool thing. So I don't know how long ago that was, but it was quite a while ago. So I'd like to say thank you to NMEAC for the recognition. It's like when you care about something, you're willing to put your time, energy, and effort into it, and that's how I feel my volunteer time has been over the years. So I appreciate this award. I will continue to do my duty out there, and I will try and challenge all of you to also find something that you care about, which most of you already have something to do. But anyway, those of you who don't, think about something that you really do care about, and it's something that you want to keep working on for future generations as well. So thank you, and thank you to the young people and to all of you here tonight that do help the community. Thanks.
We also have a special Renewable Energy Award, and we instituted this a few years ago because we've been talking about solar and wind, and we thought we should recognize this. So Tyler Glaze from Shorts Brewing Company, he's here to give out this year's award.
This is great. I personally know this person, which seems redundant, I guess. So this person has been very helpful to me personally and as a business. So we installed a very large, well, I guess not to some people's standards, but large to me, 40 kilowatt solar array with the help of this person's company. And it's really been a big deal for us, and hopefully a big deal for our community. And I'm very happy to announce that this year's Special Renewable Energy Award is for Alan O'Shea of CBS Solar.
Wow, that I kept watching the awards in my row, you know, and I wasn't even thinking about this, but thank you very much. I really appreciate this. My journey started in 1972. In 1974, I founded the American Wind Energy Association in Detroit, Michigan. So this is coming down to the latter years of my life, and this is very appreciated. We work with good people like Tyler and Joe Short, and we try to bring solar energy to the individual, the homeowner, and the business. So this is quite an honor. So thank you very much.
Wow, what a year this has been with speeches from people that have won awards. It's been just so incredible. And we have, you know, one special award left, which is back in 1988 when NMEAC founded this awards event, there was only one winner, and the winner was Clarence Kropa. And if you don't know Clarence, he's planted about 10 or 12,000 trees on his property. He's been at this awards event every year that I can think of. So it's the highest award that we can give. And last year's winner was John Nelson, the baykeeper and from the Watershed Center, and he's going to hand out this year's award for Clarence Kropa Award.
Clarence isn't with us this evening, but I'd like to acknowledge the spiritual presence of Clarence Kropa here this evening. He's with us all, and he's my friend. And I'm not the baykeeper, I'm the baykeeper emeritus. I'd like to present this to the Clarence Kropa Award for providing many years of outstanding leadership on energy efficiency and clean energy options, as well as land preservation efforts in our region, to Jim McGinnis.
Boy, you got me with that one. What a surprise. What an honor. Thank you. There are so many people here who are doing so much. I mean, about everybody here deserves an award as far as I'm concerned. I know many of you and appreciate all the work that you're doing for our community. Greg and I served together on the Grand Traverse Regional Land Conservancy Board many years ago with Glenn. And that was a really good introduction for me into conservation. And a lot has happened. So I think an important thing to think about is, as we all do our work, do what you can for your region, for your nonprofit, for whatever your passion is with, the environment. But I think something that's really important is advocacy. So I have a friend, Alan Schendler, who is with Aspen Ski Company, and he wrote a book called Getting Green Done. And he makes a really important point in there, in that we all do what we can to try to do clean energy and preserve land and the water. But it's really important to take those concepts out to the community leaders, to our legislators, to our governor, and meet with them. Take the time to meet with them. And I know many of you do, so I know I'm preaching to the choir here. But I think as more of us do that and make our case, and take your science knowledge with you to help answer questions for them. I think that'll really go a long way. So I think advocacy is something that's truly critical, and it's so nice to see so many of you and members of NMEAC that are not here today who are in Washington, on their way to Washington to advocate with concerns about global warming, which is probably the biggest issue facing humanity right now. So thank you again. I'm honored and surprised to get this award, but it's so nice to be here, and keep up the good work, everyone.
So you guys have been a great audience tonight, and we have one final award. It's called the Golden Bulldozer Award. And last year it went to, are Ted Lockwood or Bob Brick here? From the moorings, which is still just an absolute disaster. We were thinking about giving it to them again this year because it's so bad. Past nominees, Bill Klaus, Bob Curris, I think won twice. And so this year we decided to go really big. We had a lot of nominees, but we thought we'd go really big and go national this year and give this award. Is Donald Trump here? So you guys have been a great crowd. It was a little different for us moving over here from being at the Park Place for so many years, but we think this worked out really nice tonight. And we really appreciate you guys are great. Thank you. We'll see you in about a year. Thank you so much. Yeah. We'll see you tomorrow at the Climate March, noon at the open space.